Good evening, everybody. A warning flag benefited by the graphics of candlesticks up a good distance today, up 130 in the Dow. But notice the type of day it had. So it's kind of showing a little bit of weakness here in the sense that they traded well back down. Even though they were up good, they were still trading well down in the range, kind of providing the of a visualization that they definitely were not. They definitely were not buying going into the close today. And what was even more evident was over in the Nasdaq, where they opened here, traded positive most of the day, but sold it from here all the way back down to here, well below the T line, also going into the close. So I wouldn't jump into huge longs just yet. Probably still some more some more skepticism out there in the market. Here's the transportation index. Came right up to the 50, and I mean right smack dab to the 50, and started selling off. So still have to be fairly diligent as far as making sure that we see how they open these markets tomorrow. Any weakness tomorrow would definitely tell us that we're not coming out of this range, or we're range bound here for a little bit. Things that are influencing the market or stocks in the market. Look at the bullish engulfing signal we had in the July crude oil contracts with confirmation today. Right now it's trading down a little bit after hours, but still telling us that this trend channel is still very viable, which will make some of these oil stocks much more interesting. Nice chart on Whiting. ERF, nice fry pan bottom, classic, especially if it opens positive tomorrow. ECA, same scenario. If this opens positive, ever since the Doji Hammer gap up, telling us that this sector is probably one that you want to have some of your positions in, basically because crude oil itself is not backing off any. Doesn't necessarily mean it's going to go up big, but remember the fear factor way back here. I think we got it here. Even back that far. Remember the fear factor right in here. That if crude oil was crashing or coming down that hard, that was a pretty good indication that the economy might be in trouble. At least we know now that with this uptrending channel, that fear factor is gone. Doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to go back up to the $100 barrel range. But even if they got caught right in here at the 55 or $50 to $55 range, now you can start making evaluations on each individual company based upon its reserves and its earnings power versus everybody just panic selling out of the oil sector. What else? Gold. Gold, as we saw, as it came up to this area, let's make this even bigger, had a long-legged doji. Could be the reversal, resisting up here. However, they opened right on the T-line, came back up. Next day, which was today, they took it down and brought it back up. And here's after hours, trading up a little bit. So the conclusion we can get from all this is they aren't yet closing below the T-line, and there's a possibility of a J-hook pattern setting up. If they break out through this level, gold stocks are going to start coming back again. What did I just do? Well, well, well. So you might start watching things that have been holding up, like SA. AU needs to come back up above the T-line. AUY also. So just keep an eye on these. If they start into wave 3, what's the green line on here? Oh, you know, I don't really know. That might be just a, what is that? Modified. I am thinking that's just a, oh no. Can't believe you made me do that. Let's do this. All right. It's better. This is the hog chart. Still would be a shorting hogs if it opens weaker tomorrow. And the dollar, as you can see, got whacked today. There's your long-legged doji, bearish confirmation, then the gap down. Probably want to be weak or short the dollar right now. All right, what else we got out there? The grains kind of just waffling. That's the soybeans. And that's wheat. Just nothing on these charts that show any great resiliency to either be long or short. But live cattle still in this downtrend. Possibility of coming down into this area. All right, the one that we recommended today, TCK, was setting up the cup and handle or the classic. Still can be bought on a positive open tomorrow. Remember, they're going to trade it in the direction of how they open it after a doji. If they open this positive, you want to be buying immediately on that breakout potential. We also recommended FEYE because it had that little cup and handle. And I still wouldn't be afraid to be buying this one on positive trading, especially if it breaks out through this level. No, again, want to see the breakouts. Obviously, if we wake up tomorrow morning and the pre-market futures are showing that they're opening the markets weaker, you definitely don't want to be jumping into things until you see if they're actually moving against the market. So the market opens weaker. That just told us we had a bounce up to the T-line, and they're still taking it down on the NASDAQ anyways. Oh. Spell that one. One nice steady eddy that we've had is rice. As long as it stays above the T-line, we stay with it. Now, it did a little gap up, but it's not in the overbought condition. You still want to use the T-line on this one as a stop. I think David L. pointed out Pro this morning. It can still be bought on positive trading. Kind of that support at the T-line. J-hook type pattern would take you up through the 200. So the J-hook is something that you definitely want to be taking advantage of. Now here's the J-hook / bobble. So the difference between a J-hook and a bobble is that the bobble is just a more well-defined J-hook, meaning they came up, hit a resistance level, you start taking profits, but once you see that they can't close it below the T-line, get ready to buy it back for two reasons. Number one, because of the J-hook. Number two, if they break out through this area, you've got the bobble pattern, which we know as a derivative or as a kind of a more defined J-hook pattern, that if this is wave one, wave three should take you up into the $18, $19 area. So the reason you want to stick with the patterns is not only do you know which way they're supposed to be going, but you know what the magnitude is. So it's you've got the advantage of knowing when to be getting into something, I mean, if it breaks out, and number one, and number two, you know what the strength of that next move should likely be. Same as this right here, which also allows you to be in situations that are acting a lot stronger during the uptrend than just an uptrending stock that's moving with the uptrend. VTAE. You can see this one setting up. There's your bobble. Today's high was 1094. Just put a buy stop at 1095. If it comes up through there, you know your next move is going to be somewhere about 3 points, taking you up into the $14 area. And I say you've got a high probability that bobble breakout is going to create that J-hook pattern. Well, for crying out loud, I've hit this 3 times now. EAMS, all you do, there's your fry pan bottom. All you can do right now is stay long. I would use the close of Friday. And if they were able to come back down through this level, that means they are coming back to test the T-line. And Cliffs, there's another J-hook pattern setup. You got the signals telling you they've reversed it. They're back up above the T-line. They come up through this little downtrending channel. So this opened at 512, closed at 504, so at a little dark candle. I'd put a buy stop at 515. If it comes up through there, it's breaking out and going back up above the open of today. Again, the reason I'm buying something like this is we know that a J-hook pattern breakout is usually going to have a very strong price move, same magnitude as the first wave. Another J-hook type pattern on HQY. This one I would be buying on positive trading tomorrow. And you got the additional factor that if they did this as a belt hold, they've wiped out some sellers here. That means there's less sellers in the way in this next move to the upside. And we also recommended KERX, bullish engulfing. After a series of dojis, you can see the J-hook, you can see the trend channel. Still would be a buyer of this one, especially if it came up through today's high. Another one that I'd still be buying if it came up through 625, just above the highs of the last 2 days. Then EXCM. Failed at the 200, tried to bust through 3 times. Now you have a kicker signal going through. You got wave 1, wave 2, kicker signal, not quite a signal, I'm sorry. Left-right combo, gap up through the resistance level. So if this moved from 60 to 75, this should move somewhere around up to about the $88 area. And for those of you that are trying to time on option trades, this becomes a very critical factor where you can be buying this one on strength. Even though your stochastics are up in the overbought area, we know what to expect coming out of that J-hook pattern. Okay, so the J-hook again is more pronounced when you see the bobble set up. It comes up, fails at the 50, pulls back. There's our indecisive trading telling you they reversed it, started heading up. Another one that I would definitely be buying on positive trading, because if wave one was essentially 6 points, that should take you up into almost the $30 range. And ENO. Oh, who's got this terrible handwriting? And B. Be ready to buy this one, especially if it comes back up through today's open. Yale, another J-hook type pattern. You put your buy stop at today's open, which was 330 or 234. Put your buy stop at 235. If it comes back up through there, you know your J-hook pattern is confirming, which means you're going to be in the right place at the right time and have a good strong move. Fossil, ever since the Morningstar signal, McMuffin, suspect that being your first target, suspect the fill in the gap as the second target. See, we did the oils, except we didn't do BTE. Another one that has a good possibility of popping back up pretty quick, at least to test this level, and possibly this trajectory. CGY, deeper. Notice where it closed today. Slow curve closed right on the 50. Kind of a resistance level. We know this is setting up because of the slow curve, indecisive trading, and then the decisive trading. So when do you want to buy this? Well, if we know this could be a slow curve breakout, want to buy it immediately on a positive open. Because if it starts trading positive from there, what do you think everybody and their brother that's not using candlesticks is going to be watching? They're going to watch to see what happens here at the 50. If they start breaking through, that's when they start piling in. So you want to be in immediately. And of course, your risk reward is if it opens positive and fails, closes back below the T line or the 50, you close it back out because it didn't break out. But the probabilities are pretty strong. They're saying that they are ready to take this up above the 50. This one doesn't look real exciting, except for the fact that it's setting up for a flutter kicker signal, which means if this opens positive tomorrow, especially if they gap it up a little bit, you can be buying immediately, because if it opens positive, remember it's going to move in the direction of how they open it after a doji. That flutter kicker is going to give you a quick, fast move, probably up here to fill this gap, or potentially up here to the 50, which would also be in the filling that gap area. NERV, bullish engulfing, J-hook pattern, very simple. You buy this on positive trading, and you don't let it close back below the T line. INO, observe the obvious. Obviously, they're not taking it back down through the 50. Now you've had kind of a little trend kicker signal. Notice how it opened here and closed here, gapped up. It did do some backing and filling, but went this direction. That tells us the force of this uptrend is relatively strong. You want to be buying this one on positive trading, especially if they gap it up again. Because where are they? They're right here. Let me do this. I can do this. If everybody can pretty much see, there's a resistance level right here, and they gap it up, you want to buy immediately. First of all, you've got a kicker signal. Secondly, just think of the logic. Everybody and their brother can see that there's a resistance level right here. If they gap it up on a positive open tomorrow, they know there's a resistance here. They wouldn't be gapping it up, going right into this resistance level. That pretty much tells you they are going to go through that resistance level. They don't have any regard for it anymore. That was on INO. All right, whoops, I skipped this one. This was this is oil. So you can see the uptrend. You can see where the UWTI reversed kicker signal right off the 50. There's your suspected target to the top of this trend channel, which means if there's still more upside in the oils, you would definitely want to be watching the oil stocks that are creating good patterns. HBM, one of the mineral stocks. Where did this one start? Anytime you start seeing the gap up, another gap up, I guess you consider this a gap up. Usually the Japanese rice traders say if they've gone from the oversold and gapped up 3 times, they're probably in the overbought condition. But notice how it's coming out of this wedge formation. See if I can do this. Yeah, still a gap up through that resistance. Now you've got a J-hook pattern. So I can't stress strong enough that whenever you have a pattern that you can recognize, or not so much recognize, but you can identify a pattern that probably everybody else is watching also, the little advantage we have is that we can see what's happening prior to that, what type of force is getting to that level of that breakout of that pattern. So notice it was indecisive here. Now we've had a decisive move that took us up through this level. J-hook pattern. This gives you that much more clarity as far as where things could go. Now, we were watching Cray today, and this isn't the correct chart. I think it opened here and then traded down a little bit, so it did more of a spinning top today. But this was the rationale. When the market was up 100 or 200 points, this had opened here and traded up here. What type of signal was that creating earlier? All right, if you got out at the open, that's fine. But now you get ready to re-short it if they open this lower, because you're not quite in the oversold area. If this opens weaker tomorrow, you re-short it. All right, you might have missed out on whatever that was, 46 cents. But the next move to the downside could take you, remember, you're still coming off this reversal signal, the kicker signal, which is your strongest reversal signal. And if it opens lower, that means this bullish Harami isn't confirming. And the suspicion for why it's not confirming is we're not quite in the oversold area yet. So we had that. We had things like Tiffany that you definitely would have closed out after seeing a bullish engulfing gap up. If you were short, you should have closed it out. But notice where they closed back, right almost to the T-line. If it opens lower tomorrow, what's it telling us about our trend? They're still in this downtrending channel. And that's somewhat along the same lines as what we saw in the NASDAQ today. And they took it up, but by the end of the day, they had brought it back down to where it was still positive by 37 points. But as we can see, that's not a very good, convincing candle. Let's see, I was trying to think of the other shorts. Yeah, Sean, and it doesn't really matter what's causing the indecision, just so we can see the market is is in that indecisive stage. Richard, not really. When you get into situations like this, where the market, I mean, that was easy. We knew there was good downtrend. But now we started seeing some indecision. And where was this indecision occurring? As the stochastics are getting much closer to the oversold area. And we could see there was kind of a channel developing. So these reversal congestion areas, yeah, it starts to become a little bit tougher to find good trades. When you start having a tougher time locating good trades and the market looks like this, that means there's nothing out there right now. Just kind of sit back to see whether they're taking it this way or taking it this way. Once that indecisive stage of the market is defined as far as which way it's planning to go, then you can then you're going to start seeing more setups. And let me see what else. I had some more shorts. What were the other shorts that we? Oh, the biggies. You can see what happened to Apple. Apple opened up positive and started trading positive. But this is why you always want to wait till the end of the day, because there's two things that will happen. And I've done this many times myself. Which is I close out the position right here because everything's trading strong. But by the end of the day, it's back down here. So the rationale that you have to look at is it's already up here. So how much higher is it going to go from this point? Probably not too much higher because the market was up strong and this was up this level. How much higher is it going to go? Probably not very much higher. So what's the worst case scenario? At the end of the day, you close it out here versus here. But the other side of the coin is waiting for the end of the day to see, because you're not in the oversold area, they start pulling it back. So that's, I probably have described the situation. I could remember when I was SOS trading back in 2000 and 2001. I'd be short something and be short for 3 or 4 days, and all of a sudden, Pristine would come out, say, if it comes back up through such and such a level, buy it. Well, all their members would start buying, and they would skyrocket it. Well, I didn't know that was what's happening. I would just see the stock skyrocketing all the way back up here, thinking, man, oh man, I've held on to this for 3 days now, had a good profit, and in one afternoon, lost all that profit. Boy, am I stupid. And I'd close out the position. But then usually what would happen by the end of the day, when all the buying had disappeared, they would take it right back down again, going in the same direction of what the original trend was. So I've discovered if it's up there and it's against me, I'll just wait to see what it does at the end of the day. Because remember, everything during the day is just noise. Okay, let's see. Oh, the other biggies. Amazon had a strong day. It was well up above the T-line for most of the day, and then closed back down. So if you're looking at this chart, is this a bullish chart or is this a bearish chart? Well, right now, I couldn't tell which way this is planning to go. So not trading this right now. There's nothing on this visual analysis of either signals or patterns that tell us where our probabilities are of the direction it's going to go. And Netflix opened positive, and it was trading positive. And look what it did by the end of the day. Now this becomes more compelling to be short, especially if it comes down through this level. Now I've got a wave 1, wave 2, wave 3. Should I be shorting this? The stochastics in the oversold area? Well, everybody can see this is a support level, and we're still seeing selling every time it pops up and then sells off. It means there's still no bullish confirmation. That looks like a best friend doji. Where is that, Steve? Right there is your best friend. Good. On the Amazon. No. Well, no, it's not your best friend. Remember what your best friend is. That's a doji followed by a gap up or a gap down. So all we've got is a doji at this point. And remember, we're still looking for the best or strongest signals, like our kicker signals, and then see what the pattern is afterwards. You not look at any shorter time frames than the day to make your decision as to the stocks you get into. All depends on what time frame you're trading. If I'm a swing trader, yes, I'm looking at the daily chart as being my first guide. Now, when do I get in? Well, if this is kind of waffling around, and I look at, oh, that's the 1 minute chart. And that's probably not the best example because apparently the volume's not real great on this one. But let's say Apple, I'm deciding whether to get in or out. Then I'll flip to my 10-minute chart and see what it's doing. As we can see, in the last hour, they dropped Apple down pretty good. Okay, I guess that's about all I've got for tonight, unless you want to hear me complain more about how you don't ever want to drive through New York City or out on the 495 or whatever it is out on Long Island. That was the worst experience of my life. Now hold on to the individual ones until I. It wasn't brave. It was stupidity. When we paid the toll right there on the New Jersey side, we were supposed to get on 95 going north, and as we came through the toll, 95 entrance was way off to the right, and we were over to the left. So had the fun experience of going through the Holland tunnels and coming out the other side right into downtown New York City. Oh, kind of not really a dumpling top. Usually a dumpling top will be much more pronounced or more identifiable. This is just kind of a rolling top. But at this point, if you're short, you stay short until you see a buy signal or close above the next time. The next time. Close below the T line. You need to see a buy signal and a close back up above the T line to close out that short position. Yeah, even when we got out on 495, thinking, man, finally out of the city, should be flying along. Well, we flew along for 2 hours at 3 miles an hour. And this was on a Saturday afternoon. I can't imagine what the poor folks in New York, Long Island do on a Monday morning. Man, I'd call in something or other. I'm just surprised that they don't have some sort of interstate that goes across the city somehow. But I guess it doesn't matter what I think. All right. Okay, with that, Jim, let's go ahead and do the double line. And in 4.2 seconds, let's do the next double line. Oh, there was one bridge that we went through where the lanes were so narrow, I don't even think two cars could pass each other on that bridge. I don't know which one it was, but mercy sakes. But the amazing thing, let's see, TXMD, that's a nice looking chart. The one thing that I found amazing was that out of all the cars in that whole area, I only saw one car that had a scrape on it. I would have thought there would have been boo-boos all over those cars. The ultra short, one of your notes, just stay long on this one. This is the 10-year note. Backed off a little bit, but trying to trade up a little bit tonight. Still in a very slow uptrend. SHOR, that's a good looking chart, especially if it opens positive. Notice how they use the T-line as support, broke through the 50, and used the 50 as support. I'd be a buyer of this with the first pop coming up here to fill the gap. But the fact that they did a slow curve breakout tells you there's probably more upside. Well, there's at least a high probability there's more upside. This one's also a good-looking chart. AROC, you can buy this one on positive trading. Facebook stays short. Got a little bit scary this morning, but as you can see, by the end of the day, it definitely showed they failed at the T-line. We're still in a downtrend. And VMC. This one I'd be more apt to buy, but probably be more apt to buy if it breaks up through this level, because I would imagine that's the pullback to the 50. Make this smaller. Yep, I would suspect my next move is back up into this range. Agilent, stay long on this one. Good chart, J-hook type pattern. YGEM. Another nice little bottoming action, right at the same level it bottomed out before. I'd be a buyer on a positive open, but I definitely would watch to see if they break through this level. If they do, there's your trajectory. That could be a good, strong, fast move. So this is the type of thing you want to watch. A lot of people ask, well, what are your best, what if you're only going to trade 2 or 3 signals or patterns, what would you do? Well, first of all, learn the ones of what the nature of a trend does. And usually a trend has a trajectory and a consolidation, and then they move very fast back up into that trajectory. In this case, it would be a good hefty move. So I would just, and where do you start buying on that trajectory? Find the signal or the pattern that's telling you that that they're buying again off the same support level as last time. Whiting, I'd still be a buyer of this one, especially on positive trading. Observe the obvious. The 50 is going to act as support on this one. And notice how the 200 kind of acted as resistance. They went up through the 200, hold back to the 200 and the 50, and come back up again. That means your uptrend remains in progress. CNX, you stay long on this one. You've got your indecisive trading and then a gap up, telling you which way their decision was going. You can buy this on positive trading because then you have your doji sandwich. If you're more conservative, you buy when it breaks out. Same scenario. Here's your trend channel. There would be likely your next target. AMD did some backing and filling today, but as long as it stays above the T-line right now, even though it's a good percentage move back to the T-line, I would be inclined to think that you're still going to be in this upward trajectory ever since this, and you stay long until you see a close below the T line, because your 45 will stay in that mode until it does close below the T line. FRGI, we recommended this a while back, and I don't know whether we executed a whole lot of it, but there was your dark cloud. There's your bearish left-right combo. There's your wave 1, wave 2, going into wave 3. So that one still is a good one to short, provided the volume is good. I think it was good. That's why we recommended it in the first place. Another piercing signal right off the 50. Observe the obvious. Trend channel, support at the 50. I would just stay long on this one. Freeport, if you own it, you stay long. If you're looking to buy it, I would pay $12.05 for it, knowing that it broke through this congestion area. And there's suspicion that it could, because you're not anywhere using up any of the juice in your stochastics. You've been here 3 or 4 times now, but this time with a doji gap up, your best friend. That's your best friend right there. Make this a little bit bigger. Doji gap up. That tells you there's probably going to be a good strong move out of this one. AMSG. Just stay long on this one. Obviously still looking for a breakout through this level. PHH. I'd be a buyer of this one on positive trading tomorrow. That's a good looking chart. Anytime you see that doji and the reversal, and you see the doji was right smack dab off the 50, that tells you exactly what happened at that level. Tesla. Tesla, I wouldn't be long or short right now. Just not enough direction to give you any feel for which way it's planning to go. And CVS, stay short. Wave 1, wave 2, wave 3 to the downside. Tezar, J-hook pattern. You can buy this one on positive trading. Just watch to see what it does at this level. AK Steel, still in this little J-hook type pattern. US Steel, also, this one can be bought on positive trading because notice how your J-hook pattern started with a kicker signal off the moving averages. LIBO, I'm afraid that's a lap, TH. LIBO. You can be buying this one, not anything real exotic as far as a reversal signal, but you can see how the J-hook pattern is setting up. You did have the Morningstar type signal over here. You can buy this one. If I was buying this one tomorrow, I'd have my buy stop just above today's high. That tells me they are moving in that direction. Yeah, I looked at some of the roads, and there was just truck after truck. And then what even amazed me is driving in downtown Manhattan, there's these big semis. I mean, you can't even go from one block to the next. There's these big semis trying to get through all the intersections. Apparently they're better drivers than I am. MGT. Notice where it back and filled today, right smack dab on the T-line. I'd be a buyer of this one, especially if it started trading positive, especially if it came right up through this level, which I don't know what that would be, right around the 385 area. I'd rather give up the potential profitability to improve my probabilities with the breakout through this level, starting back up toward the recent highs. McDonald's. Nothing real exciting as far as trading McDonald's because of its institutional trading. But you can buy this one if you like it on positive trading tomorrow after the doji. Or today's doji gap up. And where do you think it's moving back to? Right back up here. So not a big percentage move. So obviously you'd be playing the options on this one. Navistar, not anything real wildly exciting about this one. If you like it, you can, and you own it, you stay long. I wouldn't want to see it close back below the T-line. If it did that, you're still in a sideways mode. Whoops. Five still has the J-hook pattern in progress. Stay long until you see it close below the T-line. Dale, that's the first lesson of investing. It doesn't matter what you think. It's what everybody else thinks. All we're trying to do is identify what everybody else thinks. So if you always keep in mind that prices do not move based upon fundamentals, prices move based upon the perception of fundamentals, and that's what moves prices around. So we're not trying to figure out who has the best run, best PE, best sales, best product, best anything. We're trying to figure out what people think, other people think is occurring in those stocks. Labu, nothing of any great consequence here. If you're short, you stay short. You do have the bullish Harami doji in the oversold area. So if they open this positive tomorrow, that means that the biotechs is starting to pick up a little bit of steam. Sonus, I wouldn't be long or short on this one. There's just no direction. Notice that it couldn't stay up above the T-line. It needed to confirm this big hammer signal. But as you can see right now, the stochastics have flattened out. The price is flattened out. There's just nothing here that would make it compelling to be in long or short. Boot looks like an attractive little pattern, J-hook pattern, back to the 50. I'd be a buyer of this one. If I bought it tomorrow, I'd watch diligently, see what it does here, but then with the expectation that if it broke through there, either it's going to do a 45 up to the 200, or it's going to have a fairly fast move up to the 200. Hekla. Hekla, nothing that I'd be in right now, but after today's left-right combo, if I was going to buy this, I'd put a buy stop at 482, knowing that it broke through this level, telling me we're heading up to this trajectory. But that left-right combo today is a good piece of information to say that the bulls are stepping back in. Mitch needs to open positive and stay above the T-line. Oops, MTG. Nothing here. Now, if you were thinking about MGT, you'd be buying this one at 385 or whatever we decided. Wynn Resorts had a big bearish engulfing signal today. So if it does open weaker, it's going to be a short, but here's your support level, your first target. So you got to probably play that pretty quick. And Cuervo, that's a good looking chart. J-hook pattern, classic, fry pan bottom, J-hook. Yeah, I would have thought in some of these big cities that somebody could have come up with some better method of mass transit. PDCE, there's your best friend. You can start buying this if it opens positive, pretty close to the support level right down through here. If it opens positive, watch the 200 and then watch the 50. Oh, Smith & Wesson. I guess every time they yell they're going to put a ban on guns, Smith & Wesson pops back up again. I would stay long anticipating. There's your message. There's your 45 degree, which probably is going to be somewhat the same trajectory as what it was prior to the consolidation. EXAS, 45 degree, just stay long. Flow serve, whoops, flowers. Yep. Needed to get back up above the T line. So here's a perfect example of if it opens positive and started trading positive and you bought it, it needed to stay up here. When it came back and closed back down here, you close it back out. And that's part of that discipline to say if you're buying something, it's got the probabilities of going higher. But remember, probabilities are aren't set in stone. Probabilities are telling you things have a good probability of working, but not a guarantee of working. VLTC. Wouldn't be long or short this one. Just nothing there. And NVDA, you just stay long as it doesn't close below the T line. EBIO has to open positive to stay positive. If it opens lower, they're bringing it back to the 200. I'd close it out. And MUX, you can get ready to buy this one. Kind of a belt hold bullish engulfing off the T line. You ready to buy this one on the J-hook positive open. Viacom, notice how it had trouble getting through this level. If it opens lower and you're long, close it out. I probably wouldn't be trading this one just because of the trajectory, which in this case is not enough to really put in your eye hole. I'd probably be trading something else unless it breaks out through this upper part of the trend channel. RAM, my stochastics are 12.33. Nothing set in stone. They just seem to work for me pretty well, especially in the swing trading area. But the 12.33 is on all the charts that I have. FMSA, another J-hook pattern in progress. This one you can definitely buy on positive trading tomorrow. Goog, stay short until you see a buy signal. Marvell, no direction. I wouldn't be long or short. Just sideways. And Workday, somewhat the same scenario. You've got a kind of a wedge formation in here. I would rather pay $81.50 for it, knowing that it broke out to the upside. And Gevo, another one that has no direction. Probably wouldn't be trading this one at all. There's nothing to analyze on that one. And Dish, that's getting to be the kind of the J-hook pattern. Another one that you can buy on strength. Yeah, I would guess even back then, John, they probably didn't even have any room to expand back then. Oh, I rode on the subways when I was a trainee for Kidder Peabody in 1976. And that was a hellacious experience. That's where you make sure hope everybody took a shower before they went to work. WBMD, all you can do is stay short at this point. Now here's a case too. I say this is something that you want to definitely discipline yourself with. If it opened here and started trading positive and you were short, you cover it. Then if they came back down through that level, you could re-short it. All right, so you missed out on 64 cents, but you were not trading this for 64 cents. You're hopefully trading this one for $8 to the downside. So that 60 some odd cents was just insurance that you weren't holding something in the wrong direction. NVAX, I thought I did this one. You just stay long, especially if it opens positive. Chipotle. If I was short the other day, I would have probably covered it with a doji positive open the next day in the oversold area. Now it's done what we suspected it would do, would be coming up to test the T-line. Now you put a spot that tells you where the bears are back in control, like at the low of this candle. But if it came down through there, you re-short it. So that would pretty much illustrate that they aren't going up through the T-line. VPOP, you can get ready to buy this one. You can see the trend channel in effect. So somewhere up here is your next target, which looks like about the $34 area. FNSR, another 45 degree. I would probably use somewhere down here as a stop. That if it came in this direction, they could be coming back to test everything. But I would suspect you'd be in a 45 degree coming off this J-hook type pattern. And notice what your strength came from. Your doji, best friend bounce, reversal, next move to the upside. And Scotty. Scotty, if you like this one, you can go long. But you can see what the overall move is so far. You're probably going to run into resistance here at the 50, which equates to these tops. So you just, if you're long, you have to watch to see what it does up at that level. That must have been fun, Diane. I just bite it. And now I know people, they're the sons and daughters of my fraternity buddies that live in downtown New York City, and they just love it. They've got supposedly everything right there in walking distance, which is a good reason why they don't have cars. There's no place to take a car in New York City. IRM, I would just stay long as it stays above the T line. If I was going to be a buyer, I'd use this high. If it comes up through there, that cup and handle move is in progress. Nugget, nothing here yet. But the fact that they opened it and came back up to the T-line tells us they could be finished with this consolidation, start watching for bullish trading, and that still is going to be a function of what gold prices are doing. Let's see. Oops. Did everybody scroll past me? Did. CDE, just stay long. McDermott, you can be buying this one on positive trading. Gotten beat up pretty bad. I remember McDermott up in the 50s, wasn't it? And G-Pro, you can get ready to buy, but it has to open positive and start trading positive, telling you this profit taking at the 50 is over and that your bobble pattern is in breakout mode. Oh, I can't remember. I think I was there in July, and it was not a pleasant place to be in during the summertime. Port, nothing real exciting. You can see that it is in this uptrending channel. So if you're buying this one on positive trading tomorrow, don't let it close back below the T-line. Jamie, that must have been fun. Oh, Jim, not even it, once I got out of that place, I was just happy to be out in the country again. I don't have a 47 Ford pickup. I've got a 1955 Ford. It's not a pickup. It's a kind of a little flatbed. And I have a 1969 Ranger pickup with a camper on the back. That's how I get to Home Depot and get all my stuff. ANET has to get back up above the T-line. Right now, I probably wouldn't be long or short this one. That's where my fraternity buddy's daughter lives, is in Williamsburg. She loves it. Okay. Oh, Ram, we've got a whole video on scanning. We can do a scanning night. Yeah, my first car was a 1935 Ford because my mother wouldn't let me buy a motorcycle. And so I bought it for $350, probably in 1970, 71. We towed it to our side yard. My buddy and I worked on it for 3 weeks. He actually worked on it. 1935 Ford two-door sedan. And one day we got it running. And it didn't have a muffler. It sounded like a Sherman tank. We drove it around our neighborhood circle, pulled it back up on the lawn, turned it off, and we never got that car started again. No, it was a Ford. I do have two Mercuries right now, a 55 and a 56. Okay. No, we're done fairly early tonight. All right. Just be careful of this market. Even though that was a good 130 points to the upside, you can see what the nature of the formation was today. INFN, you stay short. And more evidence in the NASDAQ that even though it was up 37 points, that was a very weak day. Last one, RBA. Another one you could be buying on strength, staying above the T line. Oh, I guess we were supposed to get rain here. I've got a good work process. Anything I do around the place, after 10 minutes, I can go jump in the pool, and I'm energized to train again. Great again. All right, everybody. Have a good evening. We will see you bright and early in the morning. We'll see you then.